Hello everyone, this is Asra Sultana, Assistant Professor in Triple Department, working in ISL Engineering College. I am taking the subject Power Systems 2 for Triple third year students. So in previous classes, we have started with the symmetrical fault calculations, where we have seen what is a fault, what is short circuit, and what are symmetrical and unsymmetrical faults, and a limitation of fault current we have seen, percentage reactance and base kVA we have seen. Today's class we are going to see about the short circuit kVA, reactor control of short circuit currents and location of reactors. So most of the faults on power system lead to a short circuit condition. So whenever a short circuit condition occurs on a power system, heavy current that is short circuit current will flow through the equipment and it will cause damage to the equipment and interruption of the service to the consumers. So, the choice of apparatus and design and arrangement of practically every equipment in the power system depends upon the short circuit current consideration. Okay, so what is the maximum short circuit current? According to that, the apparatus will be designed and they are arranged in such a way. So, symmetrical faults are nothing but the faults on the power system which will give rise to symmetrical fault currents. That is, equal fault currents in the lines with 120 degrees displacement is called as a symmetrical fault. So, symmetrical fault occurs when all the three conductors of a three-phase lines are brought together simultaneously into a short circuit condition. And this type of fault will give rise to symmetrical currents, that is equal fault currents with 120 degrees displacement. So as we have seen in the previous classes, the fault currents IR, IY and IB will be equal in magnitude with 120 degrees displacement among them. Because of balanced nature of the fault, only one phase need to be considered in calculation, since condition in the other two phases will also be similar. So we have to take into consideration 2 points, that is symmetrical fault rarely occurs in practice as majority of faults are of unsymmetrical nature. However, symmetrical fault calculations are being discussed to enable the students to understand the problems that short circuit conditions present to the power system. Second point is symmetrical fault is the most severe and imposes more heavy duty on the circuit breaker. Limitation of fault current. So whenever a short circuit occurs at any point in a system, short circuit will be limited by the impedance of the system up to the point of fault. If a fault occurs at any point, then the short circuit current from the generating station will have a value limited by the impedance of generator and transformer and the impedance of the line between the generator and the point of fault. So knowledge of impedances of various equipment and circuits in the line of the system is very important for the determination of short circuit currents. In many situations, impedances limiting the fault current are largely reactive, such as transformers, reactors, and generators. Cables and lines are mostly resistive, but where the total reactance in calculations exceeds 3 times the resistance, latter is usually neglected. Error introduced by this assumption will not exceed 5%. Then we have seen what is percentage reactance. The reactance of generators, transformers, reactors, etc. is usually expressed in percentage reactance to permit rapid short circuit calculations. The percentage reactance of a circuit is defined as it is the percentage of the total phase voltage dropped in the circuit when full load current is flowing. So what is percentage reactance? It is the percentage of the total phase voltage dropped in the circuit when full load current is flowing. So in the form of expression, we can write this as percentage X is equal to Ix by V into 100, where I is the full load current, V is the phase voltage, X is the reactance in ohms per phase. Alternatively, percentage reactance can also be expressed in terms of kVA and kV as percentage X is equal to kVA X by 10 kV square. X is the reactance in ohms here. If X is the only reactance element in the circuit, then short circuit current will be given as ISC is equal to V by X, or ISC is equal to I into 100 by percentage X. So short circuit current is obtained by multiplying the full load current by 100 by percentage X. So short circuit current is equal to full load current into 100 by percentage X. Percentage reactance, if the percentage reactance of an element is 20% and full load current is 50 amps, then short circuit current will be 50 into 100 by 20. So when like this, when we are substituting in this formula, ISC is I into 100 by percentage X. So what we are telling here, percentage reactance of element is 20%. That is percentage X is 20 and full load current is 50 amps. So short circuit current will be what? 50 into 100 by 20 to 50 amps when only that element is in the circuit. So it may be worthwhile to mention here the advantage of using percentage reactance instead of ohmic reactance in short circuit calculations. Percentage reactance values remain unchanged as they are referred through transformers, unlike ohmic reactances which become multiplied or divided by the square of transformation ratio. This makes the procedure simple and permits quick calculations. Percentage reactance and base kVA. So from expression 2, that is from this expression, percentage X is equal to kVA into X by 10 kV square. From this expression, it is clear that percentage reactance of an equipment depends upon its kVA rating. It depends on kilovolt ampere rating. Generally, the various equipments used in the power systems have different kVA ratings. So it is necessary to find out percentage reactances of all the elements on a common kVA rating. So this common kVA rating is called as base kVA. Value of this base kVA is quite unimportant and may be equal to that of the largest plant or equal to the total plant capacity or any arbitrary value. The conversion can be effected by using the following relation. Percentage reactance at base kVA is equal to base kVA by rated kVA into percentage reactance at rated kVA. Thus, a 1000 kVA transformer with 5% reactance will have a reactance of 10% at 2000 kVA base. So, let us consider a single line diagram uh, where we are having a three-phase transmission line operating at 66 kilovolt and connected through a 1000 kilovolt ampere transformer with 5% reactance to a generating station bus bar. So here the fact that the value of base kVA does not affect the short circuit current needs an illustration. So we are considering a three-phase transmission line which is operating at 66 kilovolt and connected through a 1000 kVA transformer with 5% reactance to a generating station bus bar. Generator is of 2500 kilovolt ampere with 10% reactance. Single line diagram of the system is shown in figure. Suppose a short circuit fault between three phases occurs at the high voltage terminals of transformer. So it will be shown that whatever value of base kVA we may choose, the value of short circuit current will be the same. Okay. So we are taking the example of this and showing that whatever base kVA we take, whether we take this as 2500 kVA or 5000 kVA, we are getting the same short circuit current value. Okay. So for first one we are taking 2500 kVA as common base. So on this base value reactances of the various element system will be reactance of transformer at 2000 kVA is 5 into 2500 by 1000, that is 12.5%. So this we are getting it from the formula of percentage reactance at base kVA is base kVA by rated kVA into percentage reactance at rated kVA. So like that we are getting this value as 5 into 2500 by 1000, that is 12.5%. Then reactance of generator at 2500 kVA base is 10 into 2500 by 2500, 10%. So add these two, 22.5% is the total percentage reactance. Then short circuit current is given as kVA into X by root 3 uh, into 10 kV square. Okay, so that is I is equal to 2500 into 1000 by root 3 into 66 into 1000, that is 21.87 amps. Short circuit current is given as I into 100 by percentage X. So we are getting as 97.2 amps for 2500 kVA as common base kVA. Now we are going to see for 5000 base kVA. So all the steps are same except 2500. I am putting the value as 5000. So it is also 97.2. So which is same as the previous case. So from above illustration, it is clear that whatever may be the value of base kVA, short circuit current will be same. But for solving the problems, we have to see the convenient value of the base kVA. We have to choose any convenient value of base kVA. Now let us see what is short circuit kVA. So today's class we are going to see about the short circuit kVA. Although the potential at the point of fault is zero, it is a normal practice to express the short circuit currents in terms of short circuit kVA based on the normal system voltage at the point of fault. The product of normal system voltage and short circuit current at the point of fault expressed in kVA is known as short circuit kVA. What is short circuit kVA? Product of normal system voltage and short circuit current at the point of fault expressed in kVA is known as short circuit kVA. Let V is equal to normal phase voltage in volts, I is equal to full load current in amperes at base kVA, percentage X is equal to percentage reactance of the system on base kVA up to the fault point. Short circuit kVA, product of normal system voltage and short circuit current at the point of fault expressed in kVA is known as short circuit kVA. So short circuit current ISC is equal to I full load current into 100 by percentage X. We know this formula, where V is normal phase voltage in volts, I is full load current in amperes at base kVA, and percentage X is the percentage reactance of the system on base kVA up to the fault point. Therefore, short circuit kVA for three-phase circuit is equal to 3V ISC by 1000, that is 3VI by 1000 into 100 by percentage X, base kVA into 100 by percentage X. That is, short circuit kVA is obtained by multiplying base kVA by 100 by percentage X. So, short circuit kVA will be equal to what? Base kVA into 100 by percentage X. Reactor control of short circuit currents. With a fast expanding power system, the fault level, that is the power available to flow into a fault, is also rising. The circuit breakers connected in the power system must be capable of dealing with maximum possible short circuit currents that can occur at their points of connection. So, as we have seen that the requirement or the uh, demand for electrical energy is increasing day by day. So, power systems are also expanding. So, fault is also rising. Fault level is also rising. Okay. So, circuit breakers which are connected in the power system must be capable of dealing with the maximum possible short circuit current that can occur at their points of connection. So circuit breakers should be capable of dealing with whatever may be the value of the short circuit current, okay, or the fault current which is occurring in the at any point at the connection. Generally, the reactance of the system under fault conditions will be low and fault currents may rise to a dangerously high value. If no steps are taken to limit the value of these short circuit currents, not only will the duty required of circuit breakers will be excessively heavy, but also damage to lines and other equipment will almost certainly occur. So, in order to limit the short circuit currents to a value which the circuit breakers can handle, additional reactances known as reactors are connected in series with the system at suitable points. Okay. So, what we are doing here, we are putting an additional reactances in the circuit which are called as reactors. So, why we are putting the reactors here? To limit the short circuit currents to a value which the circuit breaker can handle. So for that purpose, we are putting the reactors in series with the system at suitable points. A reactor is a coil of number of turns designed to have a large inductance as compared to its ohmic resistance. The forces on the turns of these reactors under short circuit conditions are considerable, and therefore the windings must be solidly braced. It may be added that due to a very small resistance of reactors, there is very little change in the efficiency of the system. Let us see the advantages of reactor control of short circuit currents. First advantage, reactors limit the flow of short circuit current and they will protect the equipment from overheating as well as from failure due to destructive mechanical forces. Second point, troubles are localized or isolated at the point where they originate without communicating their disturbing effects to other parts of the power system. This increases the chances of continuity of supply. Third point, they permit the installation of circuit breakers of lower rating. Now let us see the location of reactors. Short circuit current limiting. Short circuit current limiting reactors may be connected in three ways. First one, they can be connected in series with each generator. Second one, they can be connected in series with each feeder. And third one, they can be connected in bus bars. No definite statement can be given as to which one of the above locations is preferable. Each installation has its own particular demands which must be carefully considered before a choice of reactor location is made. So which is best we don't know. Okay. So each installation will have its own particular demand. So accordingly we have to choose the any one type of location for reactors. That is, short circuit current limiting reactors can be connected in series with each generator, in series with each feeder, or in bus bars. Let us see the first one, that is generator reactors. When the reactors are connected in series with each generator, they are known as generator reactors. See here, these are the reactors and G1, G2, G3 are the three generators. Reactors are connected in series with the generators. Then it is called as generator reactors. In this case, reactor may be considered as a part of leakage reactance. So what we are doing here, we are considering reactor as a part of leakage reactance of the generator. Hence, its effect is to protect the generator in the case of any short circuit beyond the reactors. Now let us see the disadvantages of generator reactors. First one, there is a constant voltage drop and power loss in the reactors even during normal operation. Second point, if a bus bar or feeder fault occurs close to the bus bar, the voltage at the bus bar will be reduced to a low value, thereby causing the generators to fall out of step. Third point, if a fault occurs on any feeder, the continuity of supply to other is likely to be affected. So due to these disadvantages and also since modern power station generators have sufficiently large leakage reactance to protect them against short circuit, it is a common practice to use separate reactors for the generators. So what are the disadvantages? First one is there will be a constant voltage drop and power loss in the reactors even during normal operation. And second one is if a bus bar or feeder fault occurs close to the bus bar, voltage at the bus bar will be reduced to a low value and hence generators will fall out of step. Third point, if a fault occurs on any feeder, continuity of supply to other is likely to be affected. Due to these disadvantages and also since modern power station generators have sufficiently large leakage reactance to protect them against short circuit, it is not a common practice to use separate reactors for the generators. So we are not using mostly these generator reactors. Okay. Second one. Second is feeder reactors. When the reactors are connected in series with each feeder, they are called as feeder reactors. As seen in the diagram. So earlier we have seen reactors were put in series with generators, but now what we can see here, reactors are put in series with the feeders. This is bus bar, these are generators and these are feeders. So reactors are connected in series with the feeders. So whenever the reactors are connected in series with each feeder, they are known as feeder reactors. Since most of the short circuit occurs on feeders, a large number of reactors are used for such circuits. Two principal advantages are claimed for feeder reactors. So let us see what are the two advantages of feeder reactor. First one, if a fault occurs on any feeder, voltage drop in its reactor will not affect the busbar's voltage, so that there is a little tendency for the generator to lose synchronism. Second one, fault on a feeder will not affect other feeders and consequently effects of fault will be localized. Okay, what are the advantages of this feeder reactor? First one, if a fault occurs on any feeder, voltage drop in its reactor will not affect the busbar's voltage, so that there is a little tendency for the generator to lose synchronism. Second is, the fault on a feeder will not affect other feeders and consequently the effects of faults are localized. Disadvantages. First one, there is a constant power loss and voltage drop in the reactors even during normal operation. Second point, if a short circuit occurs at the bus bars, no protection is provided to the generators. However, this is of little importance because such faults are rare and modern generators have considerable leakage reactance to enable them to withstand short circuit across the terminals. Third point, if the number of generators is increased, the size of feeder reactors will have to be increased to keep the short circuit currents within the rating of the feeder circuit breakers. So what is the first disadvantage? During normal operation also there will be constant power loss and voltage drop in the reactors. Second point, if whenever a short circuit occurs at the bus bars, protection is not provided to the generator. However, this is of little importance because such faults are rare and modern generators have considerable leakage reactance. So, so these type of reactors are regularly rarely used here, and because if a short circuit occurs at any bus bars, protection will not be provided to the generators. So this is of little importance because such faults are rare and modern generators have considerable leakage reactance to enable them to withstand short circuit across their terminals. Third one, if the number of generators is increased, the size of feeder reactors will have to be increased to keep the short circuit currents within the ratings of the feeder circuit breakers. Third point is busbar reactors. The above two methods, that is generator reactor and feeder reactor methods of locating reactors, suffer from the disadvantage that there is considerable voltage drop and power loss in the reactors even during normal operation. So what is the major disadvantage of generator reactor and feeder reactor? That even during normal operation, there will be considerable voltage drop and power loss in the reactors. So this advantage can be overcome by locating the reactors in the bus bars. So now what we are doing? There are three main things: generator, feeder and bus bar. So we have seen by keeping the reactor in series with generator, we have seen keeping the reactors in series with feeder. But both will have a disadvantage that during normal operation, there will be some voltage drop and power loss in the reactors. So we are overcoming these disadvantages by using another reactor, that is bus bar reactor. So what we are doing here, we are locating the reactors in the bus bars here. There are two methods for this purpose, that is ring system and tie bar system. Let us see the first one, that is ring system. In this system, bus bar is divided into sections and these sections are connected through reactors. See, as seen in the diagram. So what we are doing, we are connecting the reactors in the uh, in, the, into the sections, and these sections are connected through the reactors. Generally, one feeder is fed from one generator only. Under normal operating conditions, each generator will supply its own section of the load and very little power will be fed by other generators. So what we are doing here, one feeder is fed with only one generator. So under normal operating conditions, each generator will supply its own section of the load and very little power will be fed by the generators. So there will be less voltage drop and less power losses in the reactors. However, the principal advantage of the system is that if a fault occurs on any feeder, only one generator, that is to which the particular feeder is connected, mainly feeds the fault current, while the current fed from other generators is small due to the presence of reactors. So only that section of the bus bar is affected to which the feeder is connected. The other sections will be able to continue normal operation. Okay. So this in this way we are overcoming the disadvantage. So what we are doing in this system, bus bar is divided into sections and these sections are connected through reactors. One feeder is fed from one generator only, and under normal operating conditions, each generator will supply its own section of the load and very little power will be fed by the other generators. So this results in low power loss and voltage drop in the reactors. However, the principal advantage of the system is that if a fault occurs on any feeder, only one generator, that is to which the particular feeder is connected, mainly feeds the fault current, while the current fed from the other generators is small due to the presence of reactors. Therefore, only that section of the bus bar is affected to which the feeder is connected, the other sections being able to continue in the normal operation. Next is tie bar system. So in the figure we can see a tie bar system. So earlier we have seen that they were connected here on the horizontal side. Now they are connected vertically here like this. This is called as tie bar system. So when we compare the ring system with tie bar system, it is clear that in the tie bar system there are effectively two reactors in series between sections. So the reactors must have approximately half the reactance of those used in a comparable ring system. Another advantage of tie bar system is that additional generators may be connected to the system without requiring changes in the existing reactors. However, this system has a disadvantage that it requires an additional bus bar, that is a tie bar. Okay. So here this is a tie bar, this is an additional bus bar, this is only the disadvantage of this method. So when we compare ring system with tie bar system, it can be seen that in a tie bar system there are effectively two reactors in series between sections, so that reactors must have approximately half the reactance of those used in a comparable ring system. Another advantage of tie bar system is that additional generators may be connected to the system without requiring changes in the existing reactors. So only the disadvantage is that it requires an additional bus bar, that is the tie bar. Thank you everyone for watching the video. I hope this video is clear to everyone. So students, today's homework question for you is uh, this one. How the short circuit current limiting reactors are connected. That is all the three ways that you have to write, mention it in your comment section. So in how many ways a short circuit current limiting reactors may be connected? Okay, only one word question answers I am asking students. Please answer these questions, and all of you should watch the video from start till the end, and put your attendance in the comment section. Thank you everyone for watching the video.